Yes, Ibu?
Hello.
Ibu, yes. Go ahead, Ibu.
As the class was about to start, it has started.
We can't get you clearly, Ibu. We can't get you clearly. Okay, we need to move. So,
Complete.
sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't get that. I didn't get that. Okay. Um,
Mr.
maybe,
Professor,
yes. Yusuf?
I just want to ask this question. The cost gap, I
Yes.
think, to my understanding, is the same as variance calculations.
Yes, it's the variance. Yes, is the variance between the target cost and the estimated cost.
Okay.
Yes, it's the variance or the difference. You can call it this difference. Okay.
Hello, Mr. Governor.
Hello.
Yes. What about if the variance is favorable?
Um, if the variance is favorable, then there will be no target
Mm.
costing. So usually it won't be variable. So in exams, if you calculate and it's favorable, then you have to ask yourself. You have to
Okay,
ask.
no problem.
Yes, you have to ask yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because obviously, if it is, there's no point doing target costing when it's favorable. So if you have issues with that calculation, maybe you should just state your assumption. That maybe something went wrong, but then you're going to assume that there is this gap, and then you give your assignment based on that. Because an examiner cannot give you all that mark allocation, only to realize that there's no variance. It won't happen. Okay, so let's look at the last part, which is part D. Okay, which is part D. So can you read from what you have? Because I just want to do the frame as we go along. Okay, I just want to do the frame as we go along. Okay, so the second part says that we need to calculate the expected cost per unit for the radio and identify the cost gap. Okay, the expected cost per unit. So what is that expected cost? The expected cost is talking about is the estimated cost using our current costing technique, isn't it? Is that not the case? Okay, so we're going to start by renaming this. So we're going to rename this, double click and say Edwards Limited. Okay, Edwards Limited. We're going to color it green so that we make it a bit different from the rest. So we color it green. You can see the color at the bottom. Okay, so in order to answer this question, let's leave one margin on top and on the side. The first thing that should come should be what? The first thing that should come should be what? What should be the first thing that we should do before we answer our question? Are you with me? Hello, class? Hello, class. We have to work fast. Somebody was complaining on the forum last week that the classes usually go beyond 5. I understand it's not supposed to happen, but sometimes you can start particular topic. You cannot just finish them like that. You have to continue to at least have a nice point where you can stop. And sometimes the way you respond is very, very slow. Okay, and of course I don't want to be doing it, and then I just go at full speed when you're not understanding. So that's why I always seek your consent. I always seek your understanding. Okay. So are you with me? What's the first thing that we should do here on this statement?
To calculate unit.
No, we are trying to prepare a statement. What should be the first thing that we should write on the statement? The name of the company. Okay, the name of the company, Edwards Ltd. Okay. So, what is the requirement? We're supposed to prepare what? Expected cost per unit for the radio, and then the cost gap. So two things: the expected cost per unit and the cost gap. In fact, it's going to be three things, because when we calculate the expected cost, we need to calculate something else in order to find a gap. And what is that?
Target cost.
The target cost. Excellent. Okay, so we need to do three things, but they're asking for two things. But the third one, you know that in order to do the third one, you have to do the second one. Okay, so let's go. So the first one we're going to do will be the expected unit cost statement. So we say expected unit cost statement. Okay, expected unit cost statement. Okay, so that's what we need. And let's start working. I'm going to use the bottom. The bottom part has my working. So maybe I'll start from row 20. So I'll just do my workings here instead of using another worksheet. I'll just say working. Yes.
Look at the way you spell the statement. I think it should be STAT.
Yes, excellent. Thank you for the correction. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the items. So we're going to calculate the unit cost. First, we always start with the material, isn't it? Okay, we always start with the material. Okay, so a selling price of $44 has been set in order to compete with similar radio on the market. So that means they have definitely done a market research. Okay, because if they have not done market research, they cannot compete in the market. Okay, on the market that has comparable features to Edwards Limited intended product. The board have agreed that the acceptable margin after allowing for all production costs should be 20%. So that's the sales margin. So this will be useful. This first paragraph will be useful when we are calculating what? It will be useful when we are calculating what?
Target cost.
The target cost. Excellent. Good. You're following. So I'm sure your assignment is helping you a great deal, yeah? Okay, so it says cost information for the new radio is as follows. Component 1, which is a circuit board. These are bought in at a cost of $4.10 each. They are bought in batches of 4,000, and additional delivery costs are $2,400 per batch. So we need to find the unit cost of component 1. So we already know that the purchase unit cost of component 1 is $4.10, but then there is always something else that's added to the purchase cost, and that is the transport and any other incidental cost that is incurred in order to bring the product to the factory or to the company site. Is that not the case? If you go to Serekunda purposely to buy a bag of rice, okay, or to buy oil, if it costs you, let's say, 1,200, and then you paid a taxi, you hired a taxi 100, what was the cost of the bag of rice? 1,200 or 1,300?
It's 1,300.
1,300. Why did you pay the taxi? It's because you want to transport the bag of rice. So the cost of the bag of rice is not just your purchase cost, but the cost of transportation. Just like the business person that you bought the bag of rice from, you are paying for his transport cost. Okay, if he charges you 1,200, he has incurred transport to bring it to his own location, and he has added that transport cost there. Okay, so you need to be careful about cost. So in this case also, it's 4.10 plus the delivery cost. The delivery cost is the same as the transport cost. And be careful, the delivery cost is not per unit, because you cannot go and just buy one product and you want to deliver that. You want to do it per batch. So the batch is 4,000 items. Those 4,000 items is costing 2,400 per batch. So what's the unit price for that? So we can come here. So the first item is component 1. Component 1. Okay. So the component 1, we can definitely do the work in here. Okay. No, we can do it just the next column. So component 1, how are we going to calculate component 1? Don't mention the formula yet. How are we going to calculate it? We know that there is a purchase cost and there is a transport cost. The purchase cost is straight away 4.10, and the transport. How are we going to calculate the transport cost?
By 4,000.
It will be what? 2,400
Divided by 4,000.
divided by 4,000, because all those 4,000 products share that 2,400. Okay.
Yeah.
So therefore, the cost of component 1 will be 4.1 plus 2,400 divided by 4,000.
$3.6.
So how are we going to put that in formula? We're going to put everything here without doing any workings. So what formula should we put here? What formula should we put there? Hadi Job, are you with us? Hadi, what formula should we put here to calculate the cost of component 1? That's by adding the purchase cost and the transport cost. Hadi, are you with us? Hadi S. Jallo, the two Hadis, are they hiding away from me, or they just log on and went and do something else? Hadi Jallo and Hadi Job, are you with us? And Horeja, I've been calling them since the start of the class. They are not responding. Hadi Jallo, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you following the class?
Yes, I'm following. It's just that my network is not that good today.
Okay. Can you give me a formula that I should put on C5 to calculate the cost, the unit cost of component 1? Yes.
I'm not getting you.
You're not getting me. Okay, fine. Don't worry. You're having network issue. Horeja, are you with us? Okay, who can help? Who can help to put a formula here to calculate the unit cost of component 1? Madeline, can you help, please?
Mr. Fofana, I'm not seeing the question because I'm using my phone.
Yeah, you're using your phone.
I'm at the school, so I didn't have network on my laptop.
Oh, okay, that's all right. No problem. No. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Abdullah, done so. Yeah.
So I think equals to.
We do equals.
You put 4,000.
Equals 4,000. Okay, you want to start with the equals.
Yeah. 4,000.
4,000. Why 4,000? We are adding the purchase price plus the transport price.
Equals to 4.10. 4.10.
You're coming now. Equals 4.1. Plus plus,
open bracket,
okay, board mass, open bracket,
4,000.
Which one is the cost?
2,400
2,400
divided by
divided by
4,000.
4,000. Excellent.
And you close the bracket
We close the bracket.
and you enter.
We enter. Excellent. Good. So that gave us 4.7. Okay, so let's take it to 2 decimal place. So we just highlight it and then go format, number, then we choose the financial number formatting, which has a default of 2DP with negative numbers in parentheses. Right, so 4.7. Excellent. Thank you for that. So let's move to component 2. Okay, component 2 is wiring. In an ideal situation, 25, listen to this properly. In an ideal situation, 25 centimeters of wiring is needed for each completed radio. But is there any situation that is ideal? In life, do we have any situation that is ideal? Ideal means 100%. Everything sense.
No, because it's followed by however.
It's followed by however. Okay. Right. So it says, however, there is some waste involved in the process as wiring is occasionally cut to the wrong length or it's damaged in the assembly process. So this is typical not only in manufacturing. You can never be able to get 100% output from your input. It's not possible. There must be waste along the way. Okay, how you minimize the waste is very important, but there has to be waste. Okay, Edwards company estimates that 2% of the purchased wire is lost in assembly process. Wire cost is 0.5, that's 50 cents per meter to buy. Okay, 50 cents per meter to buy. Okay, so take note of this. It's very, very important. In order to produce 1 unit of component 2, you need 25 centimeters in an ideal situation. But we all agree that there is no ideal situation means assuming there is no waste. We all agree that that's not possible. Okay? Because in fact, even without them telling us, we should know that. But they went ahead and told us that there is going to be waste in the process. So now, let's use common sense. So now, if we know that there will be waste in the process, are we going to use more than 25 centimeters in producing 1 unit or less? Or exactly
Less.
25?
Less.
We should use more than 25.
Please, let me say this properly. Let me say this properly.
Less than 20.
We were told that in an ideal situation, what is ideal situation? Situation whereby there is no waste. 25 centimeters will be used. But we know that that is not the case. The case is there will be waste. So if there is no waste, we're going to use 25 centimeters. Okay? If we assume that there will be waste, should we use more or less or same?
We'll use more.
We'll use
more so that to
use
take account of the waste there.
Exactly. Very good. So we're going to use more, and as such, we're going to include more in our costing. So that's the first fact you have to accept. Okay? And then the more will come in because there is 2% of the purchase wire we're going to lose in an assembly process. Okay? Simple. So that means that 25 centimeter, we're going to gross it up with 2%. Okay? We're going to gross it up. So that means we should get more than 25 centimeter to produce 1 because there will be waste. Why are we going to charge more? Because whatever is going to be wasted will have to be waste in production. So we have to account for it. If we don't account for it, then that means we are going to underestimate our radio cost. Is this clear? Is this clear, class?
Yes.
Very good. So having that at the back of our mind, how are we going to calculate the unit cost for component 2? So I just bring that copy, drag, then it's component 2 for me automatically. So component 2, naturally we know that we're going to need more than 25 centimeters, but how more, we have to know that by grossing it up with 2%, and we're going to, the unit cost of the wire will be at 50 cents per meter. But look at the unit cost. The unit cost is expressed in meters, and the usage is in centimeters. We have to be careful about that. Okay, per meter, so it's 50 cents per meter, but then what we're going to use will be a little above 25 centimeters. So what should we do? We're supposed to compare like with like, isn't it? So if our unit price is in meter, but our usage is in centimeter, what should we do?
Convert it to meters.
We need to convert the centimeter to meter. Okay? And how do we convert centimeter to meter?
Divided by 100, the 25 by 100.
The 25 will be divided by 100. Okay? So that's not accounting, but that's primary school knowledge, yeah? And so in primary 3, is it primary 3, primary 2, we all learn this. Wow. Our days, our meters, and all this. I remember in those days when we used to sing 60 seconds make 1 minute, 60 minutes make 1 hour, 24 hours make 1 day, 7 days make 1 week, like that. And even these meters, the months of the day, 30 days of September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 days, except February alone. Week has 28 days clear and 29 in each leap year. Okay, I'm trying to remember my primary school song. They're very important. They're very, very important.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Use them in rhyme, yeah? Hello? Okay, so how are we going to calculate component 2 then? So let's put all the formula here. So the first thing is we're going to do is the 50 centimeters. The 50 the 25 centimeters. We have to gross it up first. Okay, how do we gross it up? We gross it up with 2%, isn't it? So to gross it up, we multiply it by
2%.
No, it's the opposite. We multiply it by 100 over 100 minus 2. Okay? If you have done tax before, that's the way you do your crossing up. And if you are good at this simple equation, change of subject, if you use the change of subject way, you'll get the same thing. Okay, x is equals to 1.02x is equals to 25. Oh, no, it's not going to be 1.2. It's going to be 0.98x is equals to 25. What is x? Okay, so if you do that, you can be able to get your answer. But the best way, accountants have got a nice way of doing it by what we call grossing it up. Okay, so we gross it up. So in order to gross it up, we say equals what's the amount? It's 25, isn't it? Okay. So 25 multiplied by, bracket opens, 100. Are you following? 100 divided by 98. Bracket closes. Are you with me? So,
yes, we are following.
right. Okay. So if we gross it up, then that means we need to buy, look at my answer here, we need to buy 25.51 centimeters instead of 25. Okay. So we find the price for that. So we do another bracket. We'd say all that. Okay. Multiplied by, all that multiplied by, we're going to express the, how to call it, we're going to express it to meters, isn't it? So we multiply that by what?
0.5.
0.5.
Okay. And then we express that into meters. So we say multiply that by, sorry, we divide it by 100. So we close all that divided by 100. Following the formula. Are you following?
Just divide.
Maybe you don't need to close the bracket after the 5.
Yeah, you don't. The 100 affects only the 50.
Yeah, the problem was the other bracket was not closed. So we opened 2 brackets here, but we did not open another bracket here. So now I added one more bracket here, and the answer is 0.12. Okay, and that's correct. So I hope you know how we arrived at it. First, we gross up the 25 centimeters. We all agreed that we're going to need more than 25 centimeters. So in order to gross that up, we multiply it by 100 over 100 minus 2%, which is the same as 100 over 98. Okay? So we close the bracket, we multiply that by 50 cents. Okay, and then that will take everything to centimeters, but we need to express it into meters. That's why we're dividing everything by 100. Is that clear? Everybody, is that clear?
Mr. Fofana.
Yes.
So you consider the 2% in your calculation. I thought, because I was thinking you will separate it if you force convert the 25%, 25 centimeter to meters, then you multiply by the 2%, then you come and multiply by the 50.
You can of course do that. You can of course do. But since we know how to do that, we can just apply everything. That's why what I did was I added all the 3 steps here in one formula. Because this one there is no need to do any workings for it.
Maybe probably so easy understanding to do the working steps, so that someone can easily understand it.
Okay, if you want that also, we can do that. So we can come here. So we say, let it be working 1. Okay. So the, how to call it, let's start with the usage. The usage is 25 centimeters, okay? So let's gross up the usage. So material. So I hope you're following material usage. That's what we're going to use per unit. It's 25 centimeters. Agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 25 centimeters. I'm going to express it in a simple way. Okay, since that's what you want. Okay, so we're going to factor the waste. waste of 2%. Okay, we say gross up. Waste of 2%, we gross it up. So how we gross that up, like I said, is easy. So we take this 25, we multiply it by, we open the bracket here, by 100, divided by 98. We all agree the 98 is the 100 minus 2%. So we close the bracket, we enter. Okay? So now the total material that we need to buy in centimeters is what? 25.51. Happy? Happy?
Yes, we understand it.
Good. So now we know that this is what we're supposed to buy. The unit price, let's do it here. The unit price is what? 50 cents. Okay. So the unit cost now will be what? The unit cost will be what? So this one also, you have to understand that you need to express this to, so we express centimeters to meters. Okay, so how do we do that? Whatever we have here, okay, whatever we have here is in centimeters, we divide it by 100. It's correct? Sorry?
No, you picked up the wrong one.
I picked the wrong one. Oh, sorry.
Yes. It would have been 25.5.
What we should do is the unit price will be what? It will be this multiplied by that, okay? Multiplied by that, all that divided by 100. Okay, is that correct? So we take this, right? We multiply it by this, so that will give us our unit price in centimeters, but we need our unit price in meters. Okay, so if we express this into 3 decimal place, let me see. It will be, due to rounding off, you won't have the same answer. Is that clear?
Yes, okay, it's correct.
Good. So now we're just going to link this here, the component 2, we just link it here. And then we say working 1. W1. We close the bracket, we enter. Okay. So let's move, please. Time is not on our side. You see, it's almost 5 now. Yes, we have a lot to do.
Okay. Then. You put 22 there instead of 25. 5.1. You put 22 there, 22 in your formula. That's why you have this 0.11. Or is it not that?
With 22, I put 22 where?
When you are working that one, the 0.11. In the formula, I saw 22. Yeah, 22. You see 22 multiplied by C.
Oh, yes. You're right. You're right. Okay. Okay. So it should be equals, yes, you're right. That was a typo. So we should say equal C22, not 22. That's right. C22 multiplied by the unit price. We close the bracket. We open the bracket here. And thank you for that correction. We divide that by
You made a mistake again. You made a mistake again. The bracket is before the C. It's after the C.
Yes.
Yeah, now, no, still now.
Okay, it's correct now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Correct. Good. Thank you. Thank you for that correction. Right.
Okay.
So instead of the C22, it was only 22 that was meter. Actually, I edited the formula. That was why the C was out. Okay. Thanks for that observation. Right. So please, I think we have to go because I really want us to finish this question. So I'm really sorry for those who want to go into, for those who are going to attend class at 5, but we definitely have to go beyond 5. To be honest, we have to go beyond 5. I'm really sorry about that. So if you're going to attend class at 5, you can leave and then maybe try to watch the video once we're done. Okay, but obviously I've explained the whole question. We're just trying to put the pieces together. Okay. So I'm really sorry about that. Actually, I want everybody to follow, so that's why I ensure that people ask questions as we go along. Okay, so the last part of materials is the order materials, isn't it? Okay, order materials. How much is order materials?
$8.10 per radio.
Okay, so that way you don't have to do anything. It's already given, so 8.1. 8.1, correct? Good. So we move. The next one is what? Assembly label. So let's read on. Assembly label. These are skilled people who are difficult to recruit and retain. Edwards Company has more staff of this type than needed, but is prepared to carry this extra cost in return for the security it gives the business. It takes 30 minutes to assemble a radio, okay? Each worker takes 30 minutes to assemble each radio. And the assembly workers are paid $12.60 per hour. It is estimated that 10% of hours paid to the assembly workers is going to be for idle time. So the same scenario here, the 10% is going to be waste. We all agree that idle time is waste. Idle time is the time your employer pays for, but then no work is done for the employer. Okay, and this is very, very, very common, especially in the Gambia. What are some of these times, class? Especially for those that are working. Do you contribute to idle time for your employer? Does your employer pay for some hours that you don't actually work for? What have you been doing?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What do you do?
Yes, like these hours, like breakfast time in the morning.
Okay, you know, actually, employers are supposed to give you time for break. You know, it's natural. In the UK, for example, after working for every 4 hours, you're supposed to have a break. So if you work for an 8-hour shift, you can get about 1 hour break. You know, 30 minutes will be paid and then 30 minutes will be unpaid. It depends, you know, on the employer. Okay, but ideally you're supposed to have time for, but we don't usually have that. But let's assume that breakfast is among the time that you definitely got to observe. Okay, so let's have another example, Karam.
Yes, we and also prayer time, because normally here in the Gambia, when it's time for prayer, people will leave their job to go and pray.
Hey, that's not idle time. Prayer is important. Well, anyway, yeah, well, when you look at it strictly, it's not stipulated in your contract that you're supposed to have this. Okay, but idle time. There are better examples, Karamo. I wouldn't want to call. Well, that's if you go strictly to go and pray, maximum 15 minutes. You know. So let's have another example. There are so many of them.
Like you're supposed to do a job and be watching Facebook and YouTube.
Facebook time, YouTube time, WhatsApp time, gossip time, moving from one desk to the other, saying, oh, do you know what is happening? this guy, they said the husband has beaten her up. She's somewhere, you know, gossip. So they're all waste. You're supposed to be on your desk and doing something for your employer, but yet you're just going around talking. So idle time is time that your employer pays for, but during those times, you don't do any work for the employer. So we need to factor that here. So the same thing, we have to gross it out. Okay, we have to gross it out. But I'm afraid for the sake of time, we have to put all the calculations here, because if we want to do workings for all of them, we might not finish this question today. So assembly labor. Okay. So we agreed the assembly labor is charged at $12.60 per hour. But mind you, we're going to work 30 minutes on each of the product. Okay? The hourly rate is in hours, so we have to change that. We express that, so the 30 has to be divided by 60, multiplied by the rate, and then also the 30 minutes will have to be grossed up to factor the idle time. Okay? So this time around is 10%, so it's going to be multiplied by 100 over 90. Is that clear, everybody? So we say equals, bracket opens, 12.6 multiplied by 12.6 multiplied by, of course, the 30 minutes we express them. But before we do the 30 minutes, we have to put it in brackets. 30 divided by 60 minutes. We close the bracket. We say multiplied by what? 100. Put it in brackets as well. 100 divided by 90 to gross it out. Okay, to factor the the idle time. Okay, so the rate is 12.6 per hour, and you're going to work 30 minutes on each of the products. So we express that 30 minutes to hours, 30 over 60, multiplied by 100 over 90, because this 30 minutes, we're going to work more because of idle time. So, and since we agreed that idle time has to be paid, we have to factor that in the costing. So we close the bracket, then we enter. Okay, so assembly labor is going to cost us 7 hours per unit. Okay, so that's the working. Happy? Shall we move? Shall we move? Are we together? Hello?
Yes, we can move.
We can move, yes.
Yes, we can move.
Okay, so we have one more thing, which is the fixed cost. Okay, we're done with the assembly labor, so we have to look at the fixed production overheads. Okay, so production overheads. Recent historic cost analysis has revealed the following production overhead data: total production overhead, total assembly hours, month 1, month 2. Fixed production overheads are absorbed on an assembly hour basis based on normal annual activity levels. In a typical year, 240,000 assembly hours will be worked by Edwards Company. Okay, so our costing, we are done with all the the prime cost item. So in fact, at this point, we could say prime cost. We could calculate our prime cost. We could calculate our prime cost, and our prime cost will be the sum of all this. We close the bracket, we enter. So our prime cost is 19.93. Okay, so in order to arrive at our total cost, we need our fixed overhead. 17 hours. So we have our fixed overhead. Okay, our fixed overhead, we're going to get that from working So I'm going to do working 2. Okay. So we're going to come here and say 2, which is working 2. We have to calculate our fixed overhead. Have to calculate our, actually not only fixed overhead, but fixed and variable. So we say fixed and variable overhead. And variable overhead. Okay, so when you look at this question, right, when you look at it, the fixed production overhead sides, you've been given data for 2 months. That's month 1 and month 2. Okay? If you are given something like this in an exams, you know that there is a problem because they were not able to give you any proper fixed overhead for this period. They gave you for month 1 and they gave you for month 2 and they gave you assembly hours for month 1 and month 2. So if you see something like this, you know that there is a mixed overhead. Okay, mixed overhead means the overheads are the fixed overhead and the variable overheads are all jumbled up. So you need to separate them. So in order to separate them, you need to use some methods. Okay, methods like scatter diagram. Scatter diagram method can be used. Linear programming can be used. But what we use most is HighLow method. Okay, HighLow method. Have you heard of these methods before in your earlier studies?
Yes, we do. We do it in MA1, I think.
MA1, good.
Yes.
HighLow method, excellent. Good. So we're going to use the same method here, HighLow method, to separate the fixed overhead from the variable overheads. Okay, so let's come and do that. Sorry, please forgive me. I have to complete this because time is definitely not on our side. You know, we have to move on. So those that are not here, please, if you can watch the video, that would be good. Right, so we're going to separate the fixed overhead and the variable overhead by using the HighLow method. And what the HighLow method does is it considers 2 points. Does the highest production point or the highest sales point, the fixed cost attached to that compared to the fixed cost attached to the lowest production point. So in this case, month one is what? Is it the highest or the lowest in terms of labor hours? Month
It is the
1
lowest.
is
It's the lowest, huh?
lowest. Okay, and month 2, mind you, this because this is for the whole year. You know, you've been told that in a typical year, you've been told that fixed production overheads are absorbed on an assembly labor hours based on a normal annual activity level. So they only gave you the 2 extremes, the lowest and the highest, but there will be other months if you want to see the full-blown question. So the highest is month 2 and the lowest is month 3. So the way the HighLow method works is it finds the difference between the 2 points, the difference in terms of the activity level and the difference in terms of the overhead, so that those 2 differences are divided by each other to arrive at your unit variable production overheads. Okay, so let's do that. So the highest activity level, IBST. So the highest in terms of the activity level is what? What's the highest? 23,000, isn't it? Okay, 23,000 hours. Okay, and the lowest is what? 19,000 hours. Okay, So 19,000 hours and the 23,000 hours. So what is their corresponding, what's their corresponding fixed? So this is hours, this is overhead. So what's the corresponding overhead for 23,000 hours?
700,000.
Is it 700,000?
Yes, 700,000.
Okay, 700,000. 700, 1, 2, 3. And what about for the lowest?
620,000.
620,000. Okay, 620. So let's find the difference. Let's find the difference. So we say equals, we click on the cell for 23,000 minus 19,000. So that gave us a difference of 4. We replicate this formula here. So we have a difference of 80,000 on the overheads and the difference of 4,000 on the hours, the activity level. Okay, so we substitute these two differences to arrive at our variable cost per unit. So our variable cost per unit is equal to the difference of the overheads divided by the difference of the hours, so which is $20. Okay, $20. So our unit cost, our variable cost per unit in dollars is 20. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So now, in order to get our fixed cost per unit, in order to get our fixed cost, we first have to substitute this in one of them, in either the highest or the lowest. You'll get the same answer. Okay, you'll get the same answer. Let's say we're going to substitute it in the highest. Okay, substituting. If we're going to substitute, so we're going to use the highest. Okay, so the fixed cost, the FC for the highest, the FC for the highest is what? 700,000, isn't it? Okay. So what will be the VC, the variable cost for the highest? The variable cost for the highest. What will be the variable cost for the highest? The variable cost per unit is 20. So what's the total variable cost? What's the total variable cost?
It's 0.
Hey, 0. The variable cost per unit is 20. The total variable cost for activity level 23,000 hours is going to be how much? You have done HighLow method before, haven't you?
Yes, I did, but I forgot.
You forgot. What I said is, look at it. I say substituting it in here. The total, this 700,000 here is the total fixed cost. So that means this 700,000 has got the variable component and also the fixed component. The same thing here. For the activity level 19,000 hours, 620,000 is the total overhead, which is both fixed and variable. So we want to break it. Already we know that the variable is 20 per unit. So if it is 20 per unit and the activity level is 23, what's the total variable cost? What's the total variable cost?
Multiply 23 by 20.
Exactly. So equals the unit, which is 20 multiplied by the activity level, the highest activity, which is 23. So that gives us 460,000. So that means the variable cost for the highest activity level is 460,000. Therefore, the fixed cost, sorry, this is not the fixed cost for the highest activity. This is the total cost. So this should read total cost, not fixed cost, sorry. Okay. So the fixed cost, the FC, just copy this. I think it's easier. Then I change the V to F. Okay, so the fixed cost for the highest activity level will therefore be what?
Would be 700,000 minus the 460.
And sadly, it will be the difference, the total fixed overhead minus the variable. So week happened to be 240,000. But mind you, this $240,000 is per month. Okay, it's per month. You've been told in the question that in order to absorb overheads, you need to consider the annual overheads because you are given annual activity level of 240,000. Please don't confuse this 240,000 that is given in the question to the 240,000 you got as your monthly activity level. Don't confuse the two. Okay? So now, in order to calculate our FOAR, same of R we calculated before, in order to calculate our FOAR, what do we consider? We consider our total annual FC. And our total annual fixed cost will be what? Will it not be the monthly, which is 240,000 multiplied by 12? Okay, and our activity level per annum, so our hours per annum, our hours per annum have been given in the question as 240,123. Okay, 240,000. Now our FOAR will be what? FOAR will be the total fixed cost divided by the annual activity level. So week is 12. Does this make sense? Okay. So what we are interested in is the variable cost per unit and our fixed cost per unit, which is equivalent to our fixed overhead absorption rate. Are you following?
Very well.
Good. I'm happy that you're following. So now, the same way we've been using in absorption costing, you calculate your FOAR, you absorb. You calculate your rate for the variable, you absorb. So now we're going to go to the question and we absorb. So we will have our fixed, I'm going to abbreviate it for the sake of time. We'll have our fixed overhead, FO. So our fixed overhead will be, so let's start with our variable overhead. So our VO, our variable overheads. Okay, so our variable overheads will now be what? The rate is what? 20, but we're going to absorb it here. The rate for the FOAR is 12, but we're going to absorb it here. So if we're going to absorb it, we've always been doing, we take the rate multiplied by the actual activity level. And we've been given in the question that our actual activity level is 30 minutes. The labor hours is 30 minutes that they spend on each product. Okay, so we go, we say equals our rate, our variable overheads rate, which is this. We click on this, we multiply it by our actual absorption rate. Our actual absorption rate is, of course, 30 minutes. We express it into hours. So 30 divided by 60, bracket closes, we enter. Okay. So our variable overheads is $10. Is that clear? Is that clear, class? Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So we go to our fixed overhead. Our fixed overhead, the same thing. We have already calculated our FOAR, which is this. So we multiply the FOAR by the rate. And of course, the rate is the same, 30 divided by 60. We close our bracket, we enter. That's it, 32. So it's not 32 actually. So it's right. Is that also 10? No, it cannot be 10. Multiplied by 12. Which one did I use? D32? Was it D32? It shouldn't be D32. It should be C42, isn't it? Yeah? Are you following, class? Are you following?
Yes, we are.
Yes, I am following.
Okay. So let's do the formula again. So the fixed overhead absorption rate will be equals to the FOAR rate, which is 12, multiplied by bracket opens 30 minutes expressed 2 hours divided by 60. Okay. So that gives you 6. Okay. So now let's find our total unit cost. Our total unit cost will be equals the sum of these two, bracket closes, plus the prime cost. And okay, so our total unit cost is 35.93. Is that clear, everybody? Is that clear?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So we make it bold. Good. I'm happy that you're following. Okay, so we make it bold. Now we've got our estimated cost. We got our estimated cost. Let me make it, let me format it a bit, some cosmetics. I center it, and then I'll change the color to blue. And then I will increase the font size to 14. This one also, I'm gonna increase the font size to 12. And then I'll make the text, I'll make the font gray. Just a bit of cosmetics. Right, so the workings, I'm gonna make it bold. Right. So now we've got our total unit cost. This is the estimated cost. So how are we going to calculate our target cost? How are we going to calculate our target cost? We've been given an equation, first paragraph of the second part, isn't it? We've been told that a selling price of 44 has been set, and then the profit margin is 20%.
Yes.
So what will be the target cost? The target cost will be the difference, isn't it? The
Yes.
80%.
44 minus the 20%.
So we just say 20% minus 100 is 80%. So if the profit is 20%, like I told you, of course, the selling price is the total. So the breakdown of the selling price is the cost, and the profit is in it. So if the profit is 20%, what is the cost? The cost is 80%. So we say equals 44, which is the selling price, multiplied by 0.8, which is the 80%. So our target cost is 35.2. Is that clear, everybody? So since we have our target cost as 35.2, what is our cost gap? Our cost gap is going to be the difference between our unit cost, our estimated unit cost, and our target cost. So our cost gap is 73 cents. 73 cents. Is that clear, class? Okay, our cost cap is 73 cents. So I'm gonna put this in brackets. Okay, we're going to format this a bit. And the workings, we're going to start it from here all the way down here. Okay, and we're going to put it in all borders, but then gonna make them smaller ones, and then the outer one will be a tick border like this. Okay, and we're going to off the grid line, so we off the grid line, so it looks like this. Okay, so I'm gonna make it 100% so that we can be able to see it like this. Okay, are we good to go, class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please, if you go try and go over the videos, you'll be able to understand them well. And for those that are not able to attend the last part, I'm really sorry. Time is always a problem for me. If we don't do it this way, we will never be able to cover these levels. Okay, so they have not missed a lot. You know, if only they could go and review the video, they will definitely catch up. Okay, so I want us to end here. Any remarks? Any questions, please, before we close the today's class? Okay, so I guess
yes, what I want to say is that, yeah, you know, it's a routine that we are given an assignment after every end of class. So for this time, you can excuse us. We go back to the video so that we can practice.
In fact, yes. No, I'm not giving you any assignment this time. Inshallah, Karama, don't worry. Don't worry, I'm not giving you any assignment this time. Okay? I'm not giving any assignment, so that's okay. Okay, so Karamo, please extend my apologies to those who have class at 5. To be honest, if we, time is always very short, for me. And if you want to commit a crime, talk about extra class. Students will never agree. Left to me alone, we can organize as many extra classes as possible. But from my experience, if you talk about extra class, you can never be able to hold a day. Any date you choose, somebody will say, I have this class, I have that, I got to do this, I got to do that. So it's very, very, very difficult organizing extra classes. Okay. So, but since this is recorded, they can always go back to the video as many times as possible to, to watch it and understand it. And of course, I'm going to share the Excel file also. Okay, sorry, the Google Sheet file. I'm going to share the link, and I'm also going to download it to an Excel file and share it. Okay, so thank you so much for having me. Have a great weekend ahead of you. Have a great weekend ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.